Hello, and welcome back to Games My Guy podcast, the esports podcast by fans for fans. And boy, are there two big fans sitting here right now. Of course, I am Patrick Aches Avery Kenny, and joined by the always dashing Ethan Duck Goose Butler. How are you doing, man?
Oh boy,
I think
Patrick.
I think that's the wrong question. I think
Yes,
how happy are you?
Patrick. I haven't been happy in weeks, and none of my teams have been doing well, to be quite frank. And then all of a sudden, what? They did it! I haven't felt this good about, especially the Toronto Defiant in since week one of the tournament qualifiers for the Summer Showdown. It's
Yeah.
been a slow dredge through a swamp of hate, and we're here now, semifinalists.
Semifinalists, we went way farther than I ever thought we could even do.
Way farther than our predictions thought.
Much further. But I don't think we're the only ones who thought that.
No, no, of course not.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of us in the same boat who counted out the Toronto Defiant and got bitten in the butt for it, for sure. And especially the Los Angeles Valiant, because that game was insane. And they played 3 games, they won 2. I was just sitting there hoping that they would win 1 map, and that would be enough for me. But 2 really competitive games, and then the Philly game, which was pretty competitive at the beginning,
Yeah.
but ended up being a 3-0. But honestly, I don't care.
No, like it was like, even in that Philly game, like the first 2 maps were very back and forth. Like there's a lot of moments where it could have gone
Yeah.
either way. It seemed it was only when they got to, I think, Anubis when it's just like EQO was just like, okay, no, that's enough. Let's get this going here,
Yeah.
and they just kind of took it down. But man, like it feels good. This feels good. I would like to feel like this more.
Yeah, I mean, beating the Atlanta Reign for me felt the most vindicating ever. Like that's a
Yes.
whole story in its own. But I think let's start with talking about our first big win of the weekend with against the Los Angeles Valiant, 3-1
Yes.
victory. Now we lost the first map.
True. Yes.
I was like, okay, more of the same, more of the same. And then we won the second map, and like a little old lady, I like looked up from my glasses and I said, "Oh, that's nice, dearie, very good." And then I went back to my crocheting. But then, but then they won the third map,
Yeah.
like bats out of hell, man. That map was insanity, absolute insanity.
Just feels good to see them performing how we think they should be performing.
Yes.
And not even just like it's good to see Agilities back on the lineup. The explosive power he brings with his Genji is something they desperately needed. They needed that aggression on the alternate DPS position because look, Logis is coming to play. Logis is here. That grand old boy is just gonna click heads. That's what he does. But you need someone who can go be on par with him. And on Genji, Agilities showed up. He brought his Canadian love of the game. I don't know why that made
his
sense, but
his
he brought
Canadian
it.
approach, his
He
Canadian approach to
he
Overwatch.
he ate his damn Timbits, chugged the double doubles, and went to play. He went to town, and it was good. Like you said, that first map. Yeah, okay. It was back and forth. Like they won one, they lost one, they won. They lost one, they won. Blah blah blah. They did it. You get on to the second, third. Oh my goodness! As soon as that game kept moving forward, you start to see the shift in the momentum take place.
Yeah, and players that were having rough weekends before this tournament started to show up. Like you saw Nevix having really good positionings for most of the time. Numlocked was really like solid. I say the tank lane had a really great weekend this year.
They did.
This
Yeah.
year, this week. What the hell?
It feels like a year this
if
weekend.
yeah,
So much
yes.
happened.
It does. It does
But
feel like, but I do have to point out, just in this Valiant game, I mean, Kings Row is a big storyline for the Toronto Defiant, but also Temple of Anubis. I mean, that
yes.
full hold on point one, that that was that was a shellacking. That was like that Temple of Anubis game was an absolute barn burner. We destroyed them.
And it really can't be said enough how good that would be for the mental state of this team. because they were going through, like we talked about, a big old losing streak. Like it's for sure it was only 2 games, but they were not 2 good games. Like
Yeah.
there were 2 games they got beat, and to come into this, take Kings Row the way they did, full hold on Anubis. My favorite map, actually, we'll talk more about Kings Row, but was
Yeah.
Junkertown.
Junkertown.
Junkertown was Defiant's playground. They completed the map twice, and like
In
in
overtime. In
overtime.
overtime for half the map.
It was so good. Oh man, watching that like just made my Friday. I won't
Yeah.
lie. That was a wonderful, wonderful day of just upset after upset. But the Defiant one felt so good just because of how much they needed it.
Yeah. And it's crazy how having Genji in the rotation changes the way the Orisa Sigma comp is played by the Toronto Defiant.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot more quick. Like it's everyone's just trying to keep up with agilities, it feels like Nevix is trying to peel for him. Cruz is trying to throw armor packs at him. Like it's just one of those games that it snowballed because Agilities was playing so goddamn well.
And see, like the aggression is it can bite him in the ass sometimes, and it did.
Totally.
But more times than not, the aggression gives the other team, like you said, more chances to contribute as well. If Agilities is going in there, and if there's a halt and he dashes through that halt, he gets so much damage done to the entire team at once, and
Yeah.
that gives the team the chance to go in and help clean up. It's not just Agilities is like the initiator. He's the one who's starting things off, but then you got like Logix just in the back, just casually clicking heads. Him and KSB had a great duel. KSB played really well, though, I won't lie. Same with Shax. I know the Valiant were dealing with some stuff because they weren't running their usual lineup. Like Jade was in over Dreamer. Apply, who hadn't played Braid in over a year, was in on Braid over Lastro. Whatever rumors people have heard, those rumors have been dispelled by the team themselves, the players, everything. It was just they just a mental break was needed, and unfortunately, it came at probably the worst time. But I'm
For
not.
them for
Yeah.
sure.
Well,
Yeah.
for them. For us, wonderful time. But
Yeah.
not to belittle anything going on, but just or even try and say the Defiant didn't deserve this win because of that. The Defiant wholly deserved this win. They just straight up outplayed them. Like the tank line outplayed, the DPS outplayed, which is something that's not an easy feat. You're going up against KSB and Shax overall.
Exactly. My argument to that would be they didn't lose their biggest pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Toronto is an 11th place team.
Yes, you should be able
Our
to handle
record
them.
is, what was our lowest record at the point? 5-12,
Five
something like
and
that.
it was. I'm sorry, I'll grab it right here.
Yeah, it was like
The
five and
record
12,
was
something
we're like
crazy like that.
5-10, maybe. No, yeah, it was 5-10 because they got an additional win because they made the semis.
That's right. Yeah, so we're not a good team. We are not a good team. So
But in this one
any upsets,
shining moment,
yes, yes.
and
It's one of those games where the Valiant knew they needed to win and worked with the pieces that they had, but Toronto knew they needed to win, and we need to go as fast as possible.
yeah, I wrote a piece just yesterday. Actually, it came out today about that day, just on Friday, which I called the day of upsets. Because it started out when you thought it was just going to be a normal day. Like Dallas got beat pretty handily by Paris, but then like when Houston beat Florida, there was like, oh my goodness, what's going on here? The Defiant needed to do this not just for themselves but for other fans. Like for the lads like us, the little
Yes.
guys who are just here talking about what they love, and that we need hope back in our life. If anyone actually listens to us and listens to our last podcast, it sounded like me and Patrick were on death's door or something like that. We were just like, if you looked, it was so sullen. Like the heads were down. We were like, okay, they just the predictions were like, oh, if they take a map, maybe that'd be nice. But
Yeah.
that'd be sweet. Even our predictions, I think between us, we gave them a map,
At
and
most. That was
at most,
and that was me being like
yeah,
optimistic.
yeah, we wanted them to do it. We believe they can. It's just the past 2 games. That's all you can go off of is past performance in this lead, and they didn't look great. But they took that week to reset, really develop some strategies. They didn't just show us the Genji look. They also, yeah, they did incorporate the Mei. They incorporated the Symmetra. So they have a couple different looks they were throwing, and they were looking good. Like people criticized Agilities Mei quite a bit, but he looked pretty. Like I'm not saying he's like, oh my god, he's the best Mei in the world, but like he looked good.
He
Like he
looked
was
really
doing
good.
well. His walls were good. His aim was on point. The blizzards were effective. I don't know if any of them got eaten. Maybe one got eaten against Philly, but
Yeah.
like, come on.
Yeah. But like you said, we came out with different looks and different compositions, and they worked really, really well in both games, in both the LA Valiant and the Atlanta Reign game. I wanted to move on to the Atlanta Reign game just so
Yes,
I could
please.
talk about, yeah, just because you brought up how Agilities performed really, really well as the May. Volsky Industries was a huge map for him,
Hmm.
like especially just defending on point A. The way they rotated through like small health pack to big health pack, even though Edison was getting some huge picks,
Yeah,
some massive picks on
and
Tracer.
he's even when he played Genji, like Edison's back in his career wasn't known like he could play it, but to my knowledge, he wasn't known as like a premier Genji player. He's more of hit scan, I believe, or not hit scan, but like the other he played other roles. Like his counterpart, I think played the more Genji roles, and they also have Erster on the team, who is an all-star Genji. So it was surprising to see Edison on the role,
I agree. That
but
was
he
very, very. A lot of people were speculating that, and even the commentators, I believe,
yeah, I
made note
think
of it as well.
was it Sideshow and Bren probably. They
Probably.
were great. Anytime they
Mm-hmm.
cast a Defiant or Uprising or whatever match, it's a delight.
Yeah.
But you want to also know a quick fun fact, which is baffling to me when I heard it in the cast.
Please tell me a quick fun fact.
Just it just doesn't make sense. Atlanta Reign has not won a single game this year where they've lost a map.
I did hear that as
You
well.
when you
Yeah.
heard that too? Yeah. Well, obviously you heard that too, but I'm just saying like I think I sat there stunned. I was like, have they not? Like that's like how does that happen? Yeah, you get some 3-0 stomps, but anytime anyone takes that, even a mat, like what? It doesn't make any sense. Atlanta should be one of the best teams on paper. They have great people in every role.
And they're
I,
3
I,
0
I don't.
teams.
They are. I
Yeah.
just. I was at a loss for words there because is it a coaching issue? Maybe like Seffi's very well liked, but even when he was on the shot, like the shot were like okay. They didn't have their best pieces, and then he moved away and Krusty came in. The shot became the best team in the league.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so is is Krusty looking for a new job maybe, or like, does he want to come over? Oh my goodness gracious! If Krusty took Seffi's job twice, but no, no, I won't say that.
No, I mean, with the Atlanta Reign, like it's so weird how good they can be and how good they can look, and then just come around and look not so great. But in this
Yeah,
game against the Defiant, they did look really great. It was a really, really
yeah,
close game.
it wasn't a stop at all.
We lost the first map, and I was like, okay, more of the same. That's great. Literally the exact same way. I saw that the next map was King's Row, and
You
then
put down your sewing
brain,
needles.
yeah, my brain just reimagined myself back in the LA Valiant game, and I was like, you know what? We could win this one. We definitely could. And then we came out with a 3-2 win. It was awesome.
By the grace of Nevitz's toes, we came back and won that. Hearing them, I think, yeah, it was Sideshow and Brendan. Just hearing them go, oh, someone's got to touch the point, Brennan. And then I gotta say also, one of my favorite things throughout the whole weekend was hearing Bren. Anytime Agilities did anything good, he would just be like, oh, there's Jon Brady with a nice 3K. I don't know why I'm calling him Jon Brady, but that's just,
Yeah, yeah.
I love it when he calls him Jon Brady.
Young Brady.
I don't know why it just made me so happy, but it's just because they're probably not that far away in age. It was just funny.
No, probably not actually.
Yeah,
He's
Bren and
probably
Sideshow are younger than you think.
really? Yeah.
I
Well, that
think they're
that
like,
makes sense.
I want to say they're not, they've got to be at least like 24.
Mm, that
I'll look
makes
it up.
sense.
You say some
Yeah.
words. I'm gonna look this up real
Well,
quick.
I mean, the most important thing that we need to do is talk about the Kings Row overtime push that lasted forever. That was a wonderful part of that game
Against the rain.
against the Rain. Yeah,
Mm,
yeah, that was a good one.
yeah.
Really, really liked that. That was a good one. I was also thinking about just what that did for us going into the semifinals, knowing that we were going up against the Fusion.
Yeah.
It was, I don't know, man. Like the Rialto map was pretty one sided for Atlanta, but it was nice to win a control map for Game 5, and like
Yes.
hard win a control map because
2-0.
because we have never. I mean, I say we never, but it feels like we never 2-0 any control maps ever.
which is so weird. Like Defiant started out the season like only winning control maps. Like that's that first map, like Logis would be in for some reason only on one map, and he would clean up. He'd play amazing, and they were like, "All right, go take a seat." And I don't know, like they did really well, but then things changed and they started losing a lot of that first map, and they had to come back. And considering this is like Toronto's first win over Atlanta this season, that this is there's not a better time to do it, and to do it in the way they did, like you said, winning that control map so handedly, must be great for their confidence level. Even if they lose when they lost against Philly, like leaving this tournament, that the the confidence and maybe the bit of respect they've gained is indescribable.
Yeah, it if anything, it does something for their mental, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
if anything, it shows to them that they can beat higher seeded teams. Maybe not necessarily better teams, but they're higher seeded and they're performing better.
Mm-hmm.
So it was great to see that win against Atlanta. I did not think it was going to happen, but and the other thing I wanted to talk about with the Atlanta game was the comments that Baby Bay made afterwards.
Yes,
Did you see those?
I did, and he's not made any sense. So I'm
Oh,
not.
really?
No, I'm always not sure what to think of when Baby Bay says anything. To be quite honest,
Mm-hmm.
like he's such a little sneaky guy,
Yeah,
and like
just for the podcast listeners at home,
yes,
what we're talking about is Baby Bay, one of the DPS players for the Atlanta Reign, right after the Toronto Defiant loss. He tweeted out something saying, "Oh, I wish I knew this was going to be my last tournament. I wish we could have won it or gone further or something like that." And so a lot of people have been speculating whether or not Baby Bay is going to stay in the Overwatch League or not. I don't
I
think he
will
will.
say I will say this though, he's done stuff like this before. Like he
That's
posted a
true.
photo of himself in just like a black, like his jersey was paint over black. Like everyone's like, "Oh no, he's leaving," and then nothing. Also, Corey, who now former of the Washington Justice, who now plays for the FaZe Clan in Valorant, commented on that post and said, "Let's talk." But Baby Bay responded, "Nah, just NAH, nah." And so like I'm just thinking, like I know they have options. They still have Sharp, who is Overwatch League level and who probably could start elsewhere. So they would be covered. But Baby Bay's been playing well this season. He has not been the problem, I would say, for the Atlanta Reign. He's
Yeah.
arguably been the solution most of the time. Like they've won
He's
games
carried.
purely on yeah,
Yeah.
purely on his mechanical skill. They've won fights. So
Yeah, just before the Genji meta, I mean like or just before Genji got buffed into this new patch, it was Orisa Sigma and then a bunch of random DPS. So Baby Bay would always be on Ashe and he finds so much value with every shot he takes and his positioning. It's crazy.
yeah, he's a super aggressive player and he will take the risk. But he's not. One thing that's great about him too. He's not afraid. Like if he's doing, even when he went
Yeah.
up against Tarpe, even when he was losing, he wasn't afraid to still try to go for that duel. He will go for the duel no matter what, and that's good and bad. Like you want a player with that level of confidence. I won't lie. Like I remember talking about a confident Atlanta Reign team is a scary team.
Totally.
I think they suffer with confidence issues. Weirdly enough, for the team of Chads to suffer from these type of issues, but they do. I think they lose faith in themselves. I think.
Yeah.
And so, but Baby Bay just never seems to. He just always is just like, yo, I just got done fucking.
Let's go.
Let's go.
I think Atlanta Reign is one of those teams that does really really well in an arena setting. Like if you were to do regular Overwatch League, if they were playing like person v person with audience members, I feel
Oh
like
yeah,
Atlanta fuels a lot on that kind of atmosphere.
the
Whereas yeah, exactly. The big pump up, the dogman yelling across the stage, that kind of stuff.
yeah,
When they don't have that, they're good players, but I think a lot of what makes Atlanta a very, very good team is how they do so well in a live tournament setting.
yes.
Yeah.
They are one of the teams that thrives off the energy of the audience. 100%. Like you when even when they beat the Shot in the playoffs last year, like the energy level of that team when that moment happened was off the charts.
Yeah.
And so I hope for them to that they'll be okay. I really like the Rain. They're one of my favorite teams. Like they're my number 3 team. I always say.
like
I
I
cheer
like I always say, my
like I
number
always say.
3
They're my.
team.
You've heard me say it before, and you hear me say it again. Atlanta Rain, you're number 3 in my heart.
Yeah, yeah.
But and so I'm wearing a Dogman All-Star jersey right now
Third time's the
from last
charm,
year.
Atlanta Rain.
Yeah, come
Yeah,
on, boys. Look at me. I'm supporting you.
yeah.
But there's something is not right. I think that it's not too late for them to right the ship, but they're not going to go into the playoffs if they make it as a high seed. They're going to sneak in if they do, I think. Like if they get in there, they could go on a deep run, maybe if everything clicks. But there's something stopping them, and I'm not quite sure what. Although Fire's been looking pretty good, even when he's been playing just now. He's been looking good on the break.
He looked good in the Defiant game. I really
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really see too many out of position break slams or anything like that.
He did miss a charge once,
Ah,
but
once.
and the people don't forget. But
People don't forget.
it was 5 years ago, Evan.
Do you have any thoughts on the Philly match, the 3-0 that we lost
Well,
and ended Patrick's perfect weekend?
your dreams were shattered, I know, and you had to go back to your knitting and the crocheting. But
Yes. Yeah.
and I hope my sweater's coming along well. But I think watching that game, I wasn't disappointed overall. Like I knew Philly was the stronger. They were Toronto could maybe get there, but they're not there yet. And so
Yeah.
Philly's the stronger team definitely right now, 100%. And so they were a hard favorite going into this. Like I don't think like there was the analysts predicted Toronto a couple times through against the Valiant. Maybe like one or two would predict Toronto versus the Valiant, one or two versus the Rain. This time it was like a wall of Philly. No one was predicting Toronto this time, and
Yeah.
for good reason. Like Carpe and EQO as a duo are proven to be successful. Like after this weekend, I don't know why the hell you would ever sub out EQO. Like that dude looked so much better than than Hisu and Ivy. Like Hisu and Ivy are great, and then when they want to do a double hit stand, maybe Hisu should be in. But don't you fucking ever get that EQO there. May was on point. His Genji was unbelievably good.
Yeah.
And so that DPS duo, like I know like FD is number 1 in your heart.
He
But
is.
but I know who's number 2, Patrick. And I know it's not a Toronto Defiant player. I know it's Carpe.
It
I
is. It. I hate
I'll
to
let you talk
be.
about Carpe now.
I hate to say it, but Carpe I think is like the best Overwatch player in the Overwatch League. I said it, but there's a lot of people who would probably not agree with me on that. I really like Carpe.
He's a good little boy who sits on Poto's shoulders. He just looks so small compared to Poco.
He's a good little boy.
He's a good boy
Yeah.
who he does his dishes, I hope. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe Poto does.
I'm sure he has someone to do that for him.
It's I
He's
just like the
making all
idea
the
that it's
moolah.
Poco.
Yeah.
And it's just like if Poto's like lives with Carpe. Carpe, did you eat? S'il vous plaît. Qu'est-ce que c'est? Just saying French. And Carpe's like, what?
Zoot Delore.
Just tries his French is probably better than ours. But no, I think on paper Philly's definitely the stronger team. Like the support line's unbelievable as well. Like the tank lines are great, but no matter who they have at off tank, they're unbelievable. Sato has looked great this year too, and so like 9 times out of 10, Philly was going to win this. But I got distracted there for a bit talking about my vision of Carpe and Poto's home life. But
the future sitcom that you write.
I'm working on it now. I just need them to sign off. Like I'm hoping Bren's the wacky neighbor with his life partner sideshow.
Perfect.
But
when I look at the game,
yes, please, I need a minute.
When I look at the Philadelphia Fusion Toronto Defiant game, I see a beautiful narrative that's going on, right? Because we have Lijiang Tower, a control map. We play the Mei comp with the Orisa and the Sigma, teleporting, all that stuff. Symmetra Logics looks great on it. It's so fun. He's fully torqued, just blowing kids up with that beam. We lose it. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And then what is map number 2? but Kings Row. And I was like, I've seen this show already. I've seen this. I've seen how this goes. I'm like, we're gonna win Kings Row. It's gonna be so easy. It's gonna be fine. But goddamn EQO, I
Yep.
loathe entirely his Genji. I loathe it because it's so good.
Ichigo is scary.
He's a scary dude.
I don't want to say I forgot. I shouldn't have forgot, but good lord, that boy.
That boy is very good at this video game.
Yeah, even when you watch the finals, there was nothing more Ichigo could have done to try and get them that final win on that map. Like they almost lost them in point A in the finals and of Rialto, I think, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden Ichigo was like, no, and sliced and diced and got them there. But in the Toronto game, yeah, like it was reasonably close. Like 2-1 Legion Tower, like you said, 4-3 for Kings Row. It was close. Like,
Overtime. I mean, it's in extra innings, as it were.
Yeah, there's nothing to be ashamed of there. Like
Yeah.
they fought the good fight. Temple
But-
Anubis, they just got washed
and,
away.
yeah. I can talk away Lijiang Tower. I can talk away Kings Row, but
Yeah.
you can't talk away a 1-0 loss to Temple of Anubis. That is a full hold that came back to bite us, I guess.
It was Roof.
It was
But
Roof.
Ichigo didn't even have to blade on that map.
Yeah.
And I remember they were commenting on that. The casters were saying like, "Oh, you didn't even use the blade."
It's bloody done with.
It's Josh. Josh, did you say? Yes, Brennan. I saw.
If anyone needs impersonators of Overwatch League casters, look no further than Ethan Butler.
So I was just saying, me and my, just specifically Sideshow and Brent. They sound slightly the same, but Sideshow's a bit more determined.
Yeah, a little bit harsher. Anyways, that's a whole other podcast where we work on.
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll work on that.
We'll work on our accents for next time.
It was a good run.
It was a good run. It was a good run. I'm gonna talk a little bit about Paris because FD God, oh my God.
I know.
Sparkle, wow, wowie zowie. That's all I can say about Sparkle. Just like what a great weekend for them. They had it pretty easy up until the Sunday, right? Like they had Fuel, which I mean on paper looks like a pretty contentious map or a pretty contentious series, and
yes,
that was kind of a bit of a stomp. And then you have the Vancouver game, which I mean, Vancouver's been on the up and up. They look really,
and
really
they did
good.
take a map.
They
Gotham. They won the first map, and so me being the Titans writer and a fan of that team, going, so you're telling me there's a chance? I had hope for a bit, but the Titans, like, I don't know how much Dalton's played Genji in the past. Like, he's more of a hit stand player, so like, someone has had to play Genji. But
it's true,
and he looked okay, but like, come on, it's Sparkle. Sparkle's been playing Genji since he was born.
Exactly. There's just certain things that you can try your best at, but some people are just gifted, and Sparkle is gifted at Genji 100%. So I mean, like the Vancouver win was okay. It was nice to see the map win for Vancouver. I do agree.
It was a nice. I don't think they should be embarrassed of the performance in that game. Like they literally were not a team like a month and a half ago.
Yeah.
And so they did pretty well.
Yeah, and nothing against them for sure. But
Nope.
Paris had a hell of a finals day. San Francisco Shock earlier in the day, Philadelphia Fusion for the finals.
They actually had day. It's actually worse than it could have been. They were supposed to play first before Toronto, but then San Francisco had technical difficulties because they how they DC'd a little while ago, but like because there was fires and shit near the building, so they had to get that shit sorted. They were supposed to be the first game, and then Toronto was supposed to be second, but because of this difficulties, they switched, and so your poor boy Fielder, who is in Korea, started playing. I forget what the time difference is, but that boy was up all through the night.
Yeah.
Like
early
you could
morning.
see at the end. You could see at the end of the Philly game that everyone else is celebrating. Of course, he can't because he's not in the same continent. But he's just sitting there like,
just dead.
Everyone's like, can someone go to that fielder a hug
Yeah,
like, or something?
he can hear
Someone somewhere.
he can hear the birds chirping as it's like coming to like 6 a.m. and he's like, "Oh God, I've been up all night."
Did we win?
Yeah.
He doesn't even know. He's just out here, just Anna. But no, he like Paris deserved this championship.
For sure.
I'm surprised. I didn't pit them to go over the shot. I will freely admit that. I thought even with Genji, the shot would still run over them. Like that did point out a weakness. Both players on the shot who played Genji are not on the team anymore. Architect was their Genji dude. He's now on the Spark. Sinatra, who can play Genji. I don't know him for his Genji all that well. He's probably pretty good.
It's probably
I
fine.
suppose.
I know he's a good
fine.
tracer, so I feel like there's like transferable skills between tracer
Yeah,
and Genji.
it's just Blade, Darsh, Dash,
Darsh.
Darsh.
That's the name of the episode, Darsh.
Darshing to the summer showdown.
Yeah. Okay.
But
okay.
so yeah, that did point out a bit of a hole. And like immediately after the shot game, the shop put out a post looking for players, open trials.
Wait, really?
Like, yeah.
They did an open call?
Yep, they did. I think that because I think they're straight up tapped out money wise when they built this team.
Yeah.
And so they're looking to pick up like someone like how they picked up Ons, who Ons is unbelievable. And so they're looking again. Yeah, they put out like a post. It was like right after that game, like, as soon as it ended. Apparently they've been playing this for a while, but it was 2 days ago at 9:10 p.m. They put out a post recruiting players. You have to be like 4,400 or top 5,
sense.
whatever. But yeah, they're trying to find someone. They want a DPS, I think another off tank and a main support. Not to replace anybody, because I think they're also looking for Western players. Krusty's just said he wants Western players on the team.
Yeah, just because of the online playing.
Yeah, and so I think,
which is so interesting, right? Now there's another criteria that players need to meet in order to join Overwatch League. Hey, you're really, really good, but you're in Brazil. Sorry, like I can't.
And if you're not Fielder or KSA, who's I think he's in Saudi Arabia. He's either there or the UK.
I know the commentators were saying that he was playing with like 150 ping or something like that.
Yeah, him and one thing he said. I remember they asked KSA actually, "What's the thing you're most looking forward to when you get to Vancouver?" He's like, "I think he said playing on NA ranked because like EU's garbage or something." But no, funny. It's like the shot needs to fill that hole, and if Genji's going to continue to be meta, I think he still will be. But I think teams will start to work around him a bit more. That he just came back in recently, so everyone's like scrambling.
Yeah.
But once the big nerfs go in, that limits him just a little bit, not too much. He still builds ult really fast, and he still can do a lot of damage. But I think everything should be interesting going forward. Like I think Toronto should be okay. Like even if Genji's not meta, like if you run a double hit scan meta, they should. If Surefour can get up there, they should be able to compete in that.
Yeah.
But if they're not, Genji's still here. And we got Agilities.
Yeah, and we've shown that we can play other comps for different game modes, of course, with the Mei. But we show that we can have different looks. And if anything, it can only get better than this, right?
Listen, let's bask in this glory.
Yes.
We got 2 weeks to bask. Like last time they won like this, we only had 1 week to bask. And then they lost 2, and we were back to feeling the depths of Hades. And we were not in the fields of Elysium, Patrick. We were in the fields of Asphodel. We were being punished. Sorry, I've been reading a lot of Percy Jackson.
Yeah, it's starting to cross over.
It's seeping into my life. But so yeah, let's be happy about this. They look good. It's good to feel that you can hold your head high as a Toronto Defiant fan right now.
Yeah, that was a great weekend for us. 100%.
As you said, this is Patrick's best weekend ever.
It's party time.
They did it for you. They did it for you, Patrick.
They did it for me. I just have my hands in the air and I'm just waving.
I'll join you. I'm gonna give you a high five to the camera.
There you go. Good.
There we go.
Well, we are high hopes and full of hope and promise from this weekend, and that brings us to the end of our podcast episode. Thank you so much for listening. If you like it, please follow us on Spotify. And we are also on Twitter, which the great Ethan Dacus Butler runs, he curates.
Follow us.
Follow us. We are at Games My Guy. If you want to email us, you can also email us at gamesmyguypodcast@gmail.com. Just if you want to be on the show, or if you have any thoughts, or you want to tell us that we suck, please come along. And if you like the podcast, but you don't like just listening to it, and you want to see our faces, you can also watch it on YouTube, which is at Games My Guy. Well, thank you so much for joining, and have a wonderful rest of your week.